The 1960s, a time of challenging social norms, questioning the status quo, tripping on LSD, and sticking it to the man, yo. Hippies, anti-war protests, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, the sexual revolution, all that good stuff. This was the era of experimenting with everything imaginable, man, and the films made then exemplify it. In 1969, a movie came out called Easy Rider, with barely any plot, a script written that day just for what they were shooting then, and the first on-screen acid trip in all of cinema. This movie absolutely threw away all semblances of conventionality. Long, gorgeous sequences showcase America's natural beauty, followed by long, slow sequences with our protagonist sitting around a campfire, smoking grass, and talking about just whatever, dude. A couple of times they have other guys with them, but for the most part, it's just these two. Captain America and Billy the Kid. One named for the symbol of the very system they're defecting from, the other for a violent anti-authoritarian hailed as a hero of the counterculture. But something I feel like a lot of people miss if they're not comics fans, that contrast isn't as strong as people think it is. Sure, maybe in 1969 it still was, but just a few years later, that would change. Captain America would stop being so strongly part of the establishment. In 1974, only 5 years after this film came out, Steve Rogers discovered, at the same time as everyone else, the horrors of the Vietnam War. He couldn't possibly bring himself to support a government that did that, declaring, "Captain America must die!" When he finally returned to the mantle, following a stint as Nomad, the man without a country, he decided that he could support American ideals without supporting the American government. In other words, Captain America is not some poster boy for the White House. He's not even part of the establishment. He's just as countercultural as a bunch of long-haired hippies who ride across the country on motorcycles. This movie is fundamentally about saying one big fuck you to the societal expectations of the day. They're riding motorbikes, doing drugs, and not giving a rat's ass what anyone thinks. No moment illustrates this more than the penultimate scene, what I've dubbed the brothel church. In Louisiana for Mardi Gras, they find
the finest whorehouse in the South,
which, as we enter, we realize is also a church. They're inside flirting with the prostitutes they've hired, and while they do, we straight up hear Kyrie eleison. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, sung in Latin while they do things mainstream religion would certainly say requires it. When they leave the brothel church, they go through the first on-screen acid trip ever, and bang in a graveyard while in the background, the Hail Mary and Nicene Creed are spoken. A place of purity, where things are done that are anything but pure. Easy Rider was a countercultural phenomenon, ignoring standard filmmaking conventions such as plot or entertaining protagonists in favor of vibes and drugs. That said, it was hardly the only movie from this era to embrace the counterculture, even if it may have been the most serious. The Producers is a slap in the face to both Hollywood and society in general during that era. Released in 1967, it makes fun of pretty much every group or cultural movement in existence at the time. The protagonists are pieces of shit who screwed over, and just screwed, a bunch of little old ladies into giving them money just because they wanted a quick buck. The lead actor in the play they put on is named
Lorenzo St. Dubois, but my friends call me LSD.
Their director is an openly gay man who cross-dresses and turns a play about Hitler into a happy-go-lucky musical. Max Bialystock is a piece of shit who scams people to get rich, not giving a damn about morality. That sounds normal by our standards, But it's important to remember that in those days, male protagonists were almost always, like, kind, morally upstanding, righteous, confident, suave, macho men. Max over here is none of those things. He sleeps with little old ladies because they'll provide him the funds to produce his plays, and when given the chance, he creates the worst play imaginable because a flop will make him rich. Leo Bloom is an infantile crybaby who sucks his thumb, holds a balloon, carries a safety blanket, and shouts about being
I'm having hysterics. I'm hysterical. I can't stop when I
through
get
the
like
film.
this.
He is consistently a ridiculous coward with barely any backbone and fewer morals, and he's hilarious and I love him. Everything in this film is designed to offend someone or other. Even in the narrative itself, our heroes chose a script called Springtime for Hitler because they think that pissing off their entire audience was the best way to make a quick buck. In terms of talking to the audience, let's do a headcount. We have an old woman whose name is Hold Me, Touch Me, a cross-dressing gay man, a parody of all greaser and hippie types literally named LSD, a sexy lamp whose entire character is that she doesn't speak English but she's really hot, and a devoted Nazi who wants to restore the Fuhrer's good name. Just like the counterculture itself, this movie threw out all societal conventions and specifically wanted to make you a little uncomfortable, so you had to think about things. This movie introduced another new thing to cinema as well. Meta-humor and self-awareness. This whole movie is making fun of the audience. It's making jokes about how we eat up anything so long as we can laugh and clown. Springtime was about to be an abysmal failure, but then the audience started to get a kick out of how hilariously awful it was. Despite, again, being about Germany in World War II, but made happy, snappy, and gay! Well, I like the musical. The movie and the audience are in on the joke of which the characters are outside. This film laid the groundwork for something later like Scream. Scream was a self-parody of the slasher genre, being completely in on the jokes about them. Wes Craven knew what he was doing, deliberately playing into old, tired tropes that we were all already bored with. Something like there being
a very simple formula! Everybody's a suspect!
Wouldn't have happened if someone like Mel Brooks hadn't started the idea of a movie being in on the joke. Both of these movies were revolutionary masterpieces in their own way. I may not have gotten that much out of Easy Rider, but there's no denying the impact it had, and how incredibly countercultural it was. It was a juggernaut of the hippie movement. The Producers, on the other hand, was a comedy deliberately making fun of hippies, and the sexual revolution, and just about everyone else. As for which did it better, I think The Producers was a much stronger movie, but I mean, nothing beats Easy Rider for being so damn countercultural, right? Nothing quite highlights the 1960s like Easy Rider. Easy Rider is the 1960s. So that film's gotta be my pick. These films were both revolutionary in their own way, much like how Alfred Hitchcock showed people fascinating ways to do suspense and romance. Until next time, stay ultra and peace out.